as one that stands on a mountain looks down upon them that stand upon the plain. Earnest among the thoughtless, awake among the sleepers, the wise man advances like a racer, leaving behind the hack. By earnestness did Magavan, Indra, rise to the lordship of the gods. People praise earnestness. Thoughtlessness is always blamed. A bhikshu, mendicant, who delights in earnestness, who looks with fear on thoughtlessness, moves about like fire, burning all his fetters, small or large. A bhikshu, mendicant, who delights in reflection, who looks with fear on thoughtlessness, cannot fall away from his perfect state. He is close upon nirvana. Chapter 3. Thought. As a fletcher makes straight his arrow, a wise man makes straight his trembling and unsteady thought, which is difficult to guard, difficult to hold back. As a fish taken from his watery home and thrown on dry ground, our thought trembles all over in order to escape the dominion of Mara, the tempter. It is good to tame the mind, which is difficult to hold in and flighty, rushing wherever it listeth. A tamed mind brings happiness. Let the wise man guard his thoughts, for they are difficult to perceive, very artful, and they rush wherever they list. Thoughts well guarded bring happiness. Those who bridle their mind, which travels far, moves about alone, is without a body, and hides in the chamber of the heart, will be free from the bonds of Mara, the tempter. If a man's thoughts are unsteady, if he does not know the true law, if his peace of mind is troubled, his knowledge will never be perfect. If a man's thoughts are not dissipated, if his mind is not perplexed, if he has ceased to think of good or evil, then there is no fear for him while he is watchful. Knowing that this body is fragile like a jar, and making this thought firm like a fortress, one should attack Mara the tempter with the weapon of knowledge. One should watch him when conquered, and should never rest. Before long, alas, this body will lie on the earth, despised, without understanding, like a useless log. Whatever a hater may do to a hater, nor an enemy to an enemy, a wrongly directed mind will do us greater mischief. Not a mother, not a father will do so much, nor any other relative. A well-directed mind will do us greater service. Chapter 4. Flowers. Who shall overcome this earth, and the world of Yama, the lord of the departed, and the world of the gods? Who shall find out the plainly shown path of virtue, as a clever man finds out the right flower? The disciple will overcome the earth, and the world of Yama, and the world of the gods. The disciple will find the plainly shown path of virtue, as a clever man finds out the right flower. He who knows that this body is like froth, and has learnt that it is as unsubstantial as a mirage, will break the flower-pointed arrow of Mara, and never see the king of death. Death carries off a man who is gathering flowers and whose mind is distracted, as a flood carries off a sleeping village. Death subdues a man who is gathering flowers and whose mind is distracted, before he is satiated in his pleasures. As the bee collects nectar and departs without injuring the flower or its colour or scent, so let the sage dwell in his village. Not the perversities of others, not their sins of commission or omission, but his own misdeeds and negligences should a sage take notice of. Like a beautiful flower, full of colour but without scent, are the fine but fruitless words of him who does not act accordingly. But like a beautiful flower, full of colour and full of scent, are the fine and fruitful words of him who acts accordingly. As many kinds of wreaths can be made from a heap of flowers, so many good things may be achieved by a mortal when once he is born. The scent of flowers does not travel against the wind, nor that of sandalwood or of tagara and malika flowers, but the odour of good people travels even against the wind. A good man pervades every place. Sandalwood or tagara, a lotus flower or a vasiki, among these sorts of perfumes, the perfume of virtue is unsurpassed. Mean is the scent that comes from tagara and sandalwood. The perfume of those who possess virtue rises up to the gods as the highest. Of the people who possess these virtues, who live without thoughtlessness, and who are emancipated through true knowledge, Mara, the tempter, never finds the way. As on a heap of rubbish cast upon the highway, the lily will grow full of sweet perfume and delight. Thus, the disciple of the truly enlightened Buddha shines forth by his knowledge among those who are like rubbish, among the people that walk in darkness. Chapter 5. The Fool. Long is the night to him who is awake. Long is a mile to him who is tired. Long is life to the foolish who do not know the true law. If a traveller does not meet with one who is his better or his equal, let him firmly keep to his solitary journey. There is no companionship with a fool. These sons belong to me, and this wealth belongs to me. With such thoughts, a fool is tormented. He himself does not belong to himself, how much less sons and wealth. The fool who knows his foolishness is wise at least so far, but a fool who thinks himself wise, he is a fool indeed. If a fool be associated with a wise man, even all his life, he will perceive the truth as little as a spoon perceives the taste of soup. If an intelligent man be associated for 1 minute only with a wise man, he will soon perceive the truth, as the tongue perceives the taste of soup. Fools of little understanding have themselves for their greatest enemies, for they do evil deeds which must bear bitter fruits. That deed is not well done, of which a man must repent, and the reward of which he receives crying and with a tearful face. No, that deed is well done, of which a man does not repent, and the reward of which he receives gladly and cheerfully. As long as the evil deed does not bear fruit, the fool thinks it is like honey, but when it ripens, then the fool suffers grief. Let a fool, month after month, eat his food, like an ascetic, with the tip of a blade of kusa grass, yet he is not worth the 16th particle of those who have well weighed the law. An evil deed, like newly drawn milk, does not turn suddenly. Smouldering, like fire covered by ashes, it follows the fool. And when the evil deed, after it has become known, brings sorrow to the fool, then it destroys his bright lot. Nay, it cleaves his head. Let the fool wish for a false reputation, for precedence among the bhikshus, for lordship in the convents, for worship among other people. May both the layman and he who has left the world think that this is done by me. May they be subject to me in everything which is to be done or is not to be done. Thus is the mind of the fool, that his desire and pride increase. One is the road that leads to wealth, another the road that leads to nirvana. If the bhikshu, the disciple of Buddha, has learnt this, he will not yearn for honour, he will strive after separation from the world. Chapter 6. The Wise Man, or Pandita. If you see an intelligent man who tells you where true treasures are to be found, who shows you what is to be avoided, and administers reproofs, follow that wise man. It will be better, not worse, for those who follow him. Let him admonish, let him teach, let him forbid what is improper. He will be beloved of the good, by the bad he will be hated. Do not have evildoers for friends. Do not have low people for friends. Have virtuous people for friends. Have for friends the best of men. He who drinks in the law lives happily with a serene mind. The sage rejoices always in the law, as preached by the elect, the Arias. Well-makers lead the water wherever they like. Fletchers bend the arrow. Carpenters bend a log of wood. Wise people fashion themselves. A solid rock is not shaken by the wind. Wise people falter not amidst blame and praise. Wise people, after they have listened to the laws, become serene, like a deep, smooth, and still lake. Good people walk on whatever befall. The good do not prattle, longing for pleasure. Where touched by happiness or sorrow, wise people never appear elated or depressed. If, whether for his own sake or for the sake of others, a man wishes neither for a son, nor for wealth, nor for lordship, and if he does not wish for his own success by unfair means, then he is good, wise, and virtuous. Few are there among men who arrive at the other shore, become arhats. The other people here run up and down the shore. But those who, when the law has been well preached to them, follow the law, will pass across the dominion of death, however difficult to overcome. A wise man should leave the dark state of ordinary life and follow the bright state of the bhikshu. After going from his home to a homeless state, he should, in his retirement, look for enjoyment where there seemed to be no enjoyment. Leaving all pleasures behind, and calling nothing his own, the wise man should purge himself from all the troubles of the mind. Those whose mind is well grounded in the 7 elements of knowledge, who, without clinging to anything, rejoice in freedom from attachment, whose appetites have been conquered, and who are full of light, are free even in this world. Chapter 7. The Venerable, or Arhat. There is no suffering for him who has finished his journey and abandoned grief, who has freed himself on all sides and thrown off all fetters. They depart with their thoughts well collected. They are not happy in their abode, like swans who have left their lake. They leave their house and home. Men who have no riches, who live on recognized food, who have perceived void and the unconditioned freedom of nirvana, their path is difficult to understand, like that of birds in the air. He whose appetites are stilled, who is not absorbed in enjoyment, who has perceived void and the unconditioned freedom of nirvana, his path is difficult to understand, like that of birds in the air. The gods even envy him whose senses, like horses well broken in by the driver, have been subdued, who is free from pride and free from appetites. Such a one who does his duty is tolerant like the earth, like Indra's bolt. He is like a lake without mud. No new births are in store for him. His thought is quiet. Quiet are his word and deed, when he has obtained freedom by true knowledge, when he has thus become a quiet man. The man who is free from credulity, but knows the uncreated, who has cut all ties, removed all temptations, renounced all desires, he is the greatest of men. In a hamlet or in a forest, or in the deep water or on the dry land, wherever venerable persons, arhanta, dwell, that place is delightful. Forests are delightful. Where the world finds no delight, there the passionless will find delight, for they look not for pleasures. Chapter 8. The Thousands. Even though a speech be 1,000 words, but made up of senseless words, one word of sense is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. Even though a gatha, poem, be 1,000 words, but made up of senseless words, one word of a gatha is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. Though a man recite 100 gathas, made up of senseless words, one word of the law is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. If one man conquer in battle 1,000 times thousands men, and if another conquer himself, he is the greatest of conquerors. One's own self conquered is better than all other people. Not even a god, a Gandharva, not Mara with Brahman could change into defeat the victory of a man who has vanquished himself, and always lives under restraint. If a man for 100 years sacrifice month after month with 1,000, and if he but for one moment pay homage to a man whose soul is grounded in true knowledge, better is that homage than sacrifice for 100 years. If a man for 100 years worship Agni, fire, in the forest, and if he but for one moment pay homage to a man whose soul is grounded in true knowledge, better is that homage than sacrifice for 100 years. Whatever a man sacrifice in this world as an offering or as an oblation for a whole year in order to gain merit, the whole of it is not worth a farthing. Reverence shown to the righteous is better. He who always greets and constantly reveres the aged, 4 things will increase to him: life, beauty, happiness, power. But he who lives 100 years, vicious and unrestrained, a life of one day is better if a man is virtuous and reflecting. And he who lives 100 years, ignorant and unrestrained, a life of one day is better if a man is wise and reflecting. And he who lives 100 years, idle and weak, a life of one day is better if a man has attained firm strength. And he who lives 100 years, not seeing beginning and end, a life of one day is better if a man sees beginning and end. And he who lives 100 years, not seeing the immortal place, a life of one day is better if a man sees the immortal place. And he who lives 100 years, not seeing the highest law, a life of one day is better if a man sees the highest law. Chapter 9. Evil. If a man would hasten towards the good, he should keep his thought away from evil. If a man does what is good slothfully, his mind delights in evil. If a man commits a sin, let him not do it again. Let him not delight in sin. Pain is the outcome of evil. If a man does what is good, let him do it again. Let him delight in it. Happiness is the outcome of good. Even an evildoer sees happiness as long as his evil deed has not ripened. But when his evil deed has ripened, then does the evildoer see evil. Even a good man sees evil days as long as his good deed has not ripened. But when his good deed has ripened, then does the good man see happy days. Let no man think lightly of evil, saying in his heart, "It will not come nigh unto me." Even by the falling of water drops, a water pot is filled. The fool becomes full of evil, even if he gather it little by little. Let no man think lightly of good, saying in his heart, "It will not come nigh unto me." Even by the falling of water drops, a water pot is filled. The wise man becomes full of good, even if he gather it little by little. Let a man avoid evil deeds as a merchant. If he has few companions and carries much wealth, avoids a dangerous road. As a man who loves life avoids poison. He who has no wound on his hand may touch poison with his hand. Poison does not affect one who has no wound, nor is there evil for one who does not commit evil. If a man offend a harmless, pure and innocent person, the evil falls back upon that fool, like light dust thrown up against the wind. Some people are born again. Evildoers go to hell, righteous people go to heaven. Those who are free from all worldly desires attain nirvana. Not in the sky, not in the midst of the sea, not in the open heights of the mountains, is there known a spot in the whole world where a man might be freed from an evil deed. Not in the sky, not in the midst of the sea, not if we enter...
There go the fucking...
Hey, here we go. A bunch of fucking brain dead, brain rotted, hypnotized morons talking about nothing all day long, listening to toxic communication. It's pathetic. Get a fucking lives, chillers. And what happened to Tali and Nathan? Did their brains implode from all your stupidity, wasting all your fucking time? Read a book, you fucking miscreant, low IQ clubhouse rats. Go outside, get some sun, go to the gym, read a book, and stop with your stupid communication. You guys are all hypnotizing yourselves with stupid shit. One stupid person goes, another stupid person goes, and it's just stupid. I've got hours, hundreds of hours of you guys talking about nothing, picking your toes in Poughkeepsie, clipping your fingernails all around town, doing nothing. What a waste of fucking time. Read a book. Go to the fucking gym. What a waste of fucking time. Read a book. Go to the gym. Go to the gym and read a book, everybody. Stop with your stupid bullshit. Stop just saying stupid shit all the time like you're doing anything. There's no goal here. There's no objective. There's nothing. You guys are just hypnotizing each other with stupid shit. All right, I said my piece, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. All bye.
Worse off, or
The
better
cleft of the
off,
mountains is there
with
no
greater
spot in the
religion
whole
or
world
less.
where death could not overcome. Chapter 10. Punishment. All men tremble at punishment. All men fear death. Remember that you are like unto them, and do not kill, nor cause slaughter. All men tremble at punishment. All men love life. Remember that you are like unto them, and do not kill, nor cause slaughter. He who, seeking his own happiness, punishes or kills beings who also long for happiness, will not find happiness after death. He who, seeking his own happiness, does not punish or kill beings who also long for happiness, will find happiness after death. Do not speak harshly to anybody. Those who are spoken to will answer thee in the same way. Angry speech is painful. Blows for blows will touch thee. If, like a shattered metal gong, you utter not, then you have reached nirvana. Contention is not known to you. As a cowherd with his staff drives his cows into the stable, so do age and death drive the life of men. A fool does not know when he commits his evil deeds, but the wicked man burns by his own deeds, as if burnt by fire. He who inflicts pain on innocent and harmless persons will soon come to one of these 10 states. He will have cruel suffering, loss, injury of the body, heavy affliction or loss of mind, or a misfortune coming from the king, or a fearful accusation, or loss of relations, or destruction of treasures, or lightning fire will burn his houses, and when his body is destroyed, the fool will go to hell. Not nakedness, not plaited hair, not dirt, not fasting or lying on the earth, not rubbing with dust, not sitting motionless, can purify a mortal who has not overcome desires. He who, though dressed in fine apparel, exercises tranquility, is quiet, subdued, restrained, chaste, and has ceased to find fault with all other beings, he indeed is a Brahmana, an ascetic, Sramana, a friar, Bhikshu. Is there in this world any man so restrained by humility that he does not mind reproof, as a well-trained horse the whip? Like a well-trained horse when touched by the whip, be you active and lively, and by faith, by virtue, by energy, by meditation, by discernment of the law, you will overcome this great pain of reproof, perfect in knowledge and in behaviour, and never forgetful. Well-makers lead the water wherever they like. Fletchers bend the arrow, carpenters bend a log of wood. Good people fashion themselves. Chapter 11. Old Age. How is their laughter? How is their joy? Or is this world always burning? Why do you not seek a light, you who are surrounded by darkness? Look at this dressed-up lump, covered with wounds, joined together, sickly, full of many thoughts, which has no strength, no hold. This body is wasted, full of sickness and frail. This heap of corruption breaks into pieces. Life indeed ends in death. Those white bones, those gourds thrown away in autumn, what pleasure is there in looking at them? After a stronghold has been made of the bones, it is covered with flesh and blood. There dwell in it old age and death, pride and deceit. The brilliant chariots of kings are destroyed. The body also approaches destruction, but the virtue of good people never approaches destruction. Thus do the good say to the good. Looking for the maker of this tabernacle, I shall have to run through a course of many births, so long as I do not find him. And painful is but...
You guys are still going, the show's over. You guys got nothing better to do on a beautiful Monday, talking about nothing, wasting all your time. One person says something stupid, another person says something stupid. Hello? Is this thing even on? Welcome back to another episode of Super Stupid Communication, where you can watch people waste all their time doing nothing on a beautiful Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Brain Rot and Self-Hypnosis. One person talk, another person talk, and it's all just stupid talk. Try reading a book. Try going to the gym. Read a book. I don't know, come out here and just read poetry. Read a book. Just do anything other than sitting here talking to each other about nothing. Wasting all your time. What a fucking brain virus. What brain rot led you to this path? Oh, Nathan. Yeah, you didn't know Nathan got a TBI and he got brain rot. Tyler got brain rot too. So you guys are the blind leading the blind. Congratulations, everybody.
Earth again and again. But now, maker of the tabernacle, you have been seen. You shall not make this tabernacle again. All thy rafters are broken. Thy ridgepole is sundered. The mind, approaching the eternal, Visankara, Nirvana, has attained to the extinction of all desires. Men who have not observed proper discipline and have not gained treasure in their youth perish like old herons in a lake without fish. Men who have not observed proper discipline and have not gained treasure in their youth lie like broken bows, sighing after the past. Chapter 12. Self. If a man hold himself dear, let him watch himself carefully. During one at least out of the 3 watches, a wise man should be watchful. Let each man direct himself first to what is proper, then let him teach others. Thus a wise man will not suffer. If a man make himself as he teaches others to be, then, being himself well subdued, he may subdue others. One's own self is indeed difficult to subdue. Self is the lord of self. Who else could be the lord? With self well subdued, a man finds a lord such as few can find. The evil done by oneself, self-begotten, self-bred, crushes the foolish, as a diamond breaks a precious stone. He whose wickedness is very great brings himself down to the state where his enemy wishes him to be.
The best way to stop brain rot is to read a book. Many of you have forgotten what a book is, but when you pick it up and you go through what's called the pages and you read what's called the words, you develop sentences and concepts. Within a book, you could call it an external hard drive of information. This is the best way to communicate, because coming into chillism demonstrating brain rot is a complete and total waste of time, everybody. There's no intelligence here. It's just people doing nothing, talking about nothing. They got nothing better to do. There's no purpose, no goal, no objective, you might call it. All right, everybody. Hope you have a great day now. I hope I broke the mind virus for you. You just delete the app. Just go on with life. There's nothing to see here, folks. Nothing. Chillism is nothing but a brain rot syndrome. A mind virus, you might call it. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoy.
As a creeper does with the tree which it surrounds. Bad deeds and deeds hurtful to ourselves are easy to do. What is beneficial and good, that is very difficult to do. The foolish man who scorns the rule of the venerable, Arahat, of the elect, Arya, of the virtuous, and follows false doctrines, he bears fruits to his own destruction. like the fruits of the kataka reed. By
That's
oneself,
right, that's the
evil
best
is done.
brain rot
By
they've ever
oneself,
produced in this room is playing
by
good
oneself,
shit
evil is
as
hated.
opposed to actually
By
talking.
oneself,
Or even
is
listening to Lion or Jazzy this morning. What a horrific waste of time.
no
What a horrible waste of time,
Let
everybody.
no one forget his own
This is
duty.
called the Dhammapada. It's an audiobook. Maybe some of you dummies have actually enough wisdom to stop talking and just go silent. Be still and listen to some wisdom. I'll play it for you right now. Here you go. This is my free gift to chillism.
Do not follow the evil law. Do not live on in thoughtlessness. Do not follow false doctrine. Be not a friend of the world. Rouse thyself. Do not be idle. Follow the law of virtue. The virtuous rests in bliss in this world and in the next. Follow the law of virtue. Do not follow that of sin. The virtuous rests in bliss in this world and in the next. Look upon the world as a bubble. Look upon it as a mirage. The king of death does not see him who thus looks down upon the world. Come, look at this glittering world, like unto a royal chariot. The foolish are immersed in it, but the wise do not touch it. He who formerly was reckless and afterwards became sober brightens up this world, like the moon when freed from clouds. He whose evil deeds are covered by good deeds brightens up this world, like the moon when freed from the clouds. This world is dark. Few only can see it. A few only go to heaven, like birds escaped from the net. The swans go on the path of the sun. They go through the ether by means of their miraculous power. The wise are led out of this world when they have conquered Mara and his train. If a man has transgressed one law and speaks lies and scoffs at another world, there is no evil he will not do. The uncharitable do not go to the world of the gods. Fools only do not praise immorality. A wise man rejoices in immorality, and through it becomes blessed in the other world. Better than sovereignty over the earth, better than going to heaven, better than lordship over all worlds, is the reward of the first step in holiness. Chapter 14. The Buddha, the Awakened. He whose conquest is not conquered again, into whose conquest no one in this world enters, by what track can you lead him, the awakened, the omniscient, the trackless? He whom no desire with its snares and poisons can lead astray, by what track can you lead him, the awakened, the omniscient, the trackless? Even the gods envy those who are awakened and not forgetful, who are given to meditation, who are wise and who delight in the repose of retirement from the world. Difficult to obtain is the conception of men, difficult is the life of mortals, difficult is the hearing of the true law, difficult is the birth of the awakened, the attainment of Buddhahood. Not to commit any sin, to do good and to purify one's mind, that is the teaching of all the awakened. The awakened call patience the highest penance, long-suffering the highest nirvana, for he is not an anchorite, pravragita, who strikes others. He is not an ascetic, shramana, who insults others. Not to blame, not to strike, to live restrained under the law, to be moderate in eating, to sleep and sit alone, and to dwell on the highest thoughts. This is the teaching of the awakened. There is no satisfying lusts, even by a shower of gold pieces. He who knows that lusts have a short taste and cause pain, he is wise. Even in heavenly pleasures he finds no satisfaction. The disciple who is fully awakened delights only in the destruction of all desires. Men, driven by fear, go to many a refuge, to mountains and forests, to groves and sacred trees. But that is not a safe refuge. That is not the best refuge. A man is not delivered from all pains after having gone to that refuge. He who takes refuge with Buddha, the law, and the church, he who, with clear understanding, sees the four holy truths, pain, the origin of pain, the destruction of pain, and the eightfold holy way that leads to the quieting of pain. That is the safe refuge. That is the best refuge. Having gone to that refuge, a man is delivered from all pain. A supernatural person, a Buddha, is not easily found. He is not born everywhere. Wherever such a sage is born, that race prospers. Happy is the arising of the awakened. Happy is the teaching of the true law. Happy is peace in the church. Happy is the devotion of those who are at peace. He who pays homage to those who deserve homage, whether the awakened Buddha or their disciples, those who have overcome the host of evils and crossed the flood of sorrow, he who pays homage to such as have found deliverance and know no fear, his merit can never be measured by anybody. Chapter 15. Happiness. Let us live happily then, not hating those who hate us. Among men who hate us, let us dwell free from hatred. Let us live happily then, free from ailments, among the ailing. Among men who are ailing, let us dwell free from ailments. Let us live happily then, free from greed, among the greedy. Among men who are greedy, let us dwell free from greed. Let us live happily then, though we call nothing our own. We shall be like the bright gods, feeding on happiness. Victory breeds hatred, for the conquered is unhappy. He who has given up both victory and defeat, he, the contented, is happy. There is no fire like passion. There is no losing throw like hatred. There is no pain like this body. There is no happiness higher than rest. Hunger is the worst of diseases, the body the greatest of pains. If one knows this truly, that is nirvana, the highest happiness. Health is the greatest of gifts, contentedness the best riches. Trust is the best of relationships, nirvana the highest happiness. He who has tasted the sweetness of solitude and tranquility is free from fear and free from sin, while he tastes the sweetness of drinking in the law. The sight of the elect, Ariya, is good. To live with them is always happiness. If a man does not see fools, he will be truly happy. He who walks in the company of fools suffers a long way. Company with fools, as with an enemy, is always painful. Company with the wise is pleasure, like meeting with kinsfolk. Therefore, one ought to follow the wise, the intelligent, the learned, the much enduring, the dutiful, the elect. One ought to follow a good and wise man, as the moon follows the path of the stars. Chapter 16. Pleasure. He who gives himself to vanity and does not give himself to meditation, forgetting the real aim of life and grasping at pleasure, will in time envy him who has exerted himself in meditation. Let no man ever look for what is pleasant or what is unpleasant. Not to see what is pleasant is pain, and it is pain to see what is unpleasant. Let, therefore, no man love anything. Loss of the beloved is evil. Those who love nothing and hate nothing have no fetters. From pleasure comes grief, from pleasure comes fear. He who is free from pleasure knows neither grief nor fear. From affection comes grief, from affection comes fear. He who is free from affection knows neither grief nor fear. From lust comes grief, from lust comes fear. He who is free from lust knows neither grief nor fear. From love comes grief, from love comes fear. He who is free from love knows neither grief nor fear. From greed comes grief, from greed comes fear. He who is free from greed knows neither grief nor fear. He who possesses virtue and intelligence, who is just, who speaks the truth and does what is his own business, him the world will hold dear. He in whom a desire for the ineffable, nirvana, has sprung up, who is satisfied in his mind and whose thoughts are not bewildered by love, he is called Udvramstratas, carried upwards by the stream. Kinsmen, friends and lovers, salute a man who has been long away and returns safe from afar. In like manner his good works receive him who has done good and has gone from this world to the other, as kinsmen receive a friend on his return. Chapter 17. Anger. Let a man leave anger. Let him forsake pride. Let him overcome all bondage. No sufferings befall the man who is not attached to name and form, and who calls nothing his own. He who holds back rising anger like a rolling chariot, him I call a real driver. Other people are but holding the reins. Let a man overcome anger by love. Let him overcome evil by good. Let him overcome the greedy by liberality, the liar by truth. Speak the truth. Do not yield to anger. Give if thou art asked for little. By these 3 steps thou wilt go near the gods. The sages who injure nobody and who always control their body, they will go to the unchangeable place, nirvana, where, if they have gone, they will suffer no more. Those who are ever watchful, who study day and night, and who strive after nirvana, their passions will come to an end. This is an old saying, O Atula. This is not only of today. They blame him who sits silent, they blame him who speaks much. They also blame him who says little. There is no one on earth who is not blamed. There never was, there never will be, nor is there now, a man who is always blamed, or a man who is always praised. But he whom those who discriminate praise continually day after day, as without blemish, wise, rich in knowledge and virtue, who would dare to blame him, like a coin made of gold from the Gambu river? Even the gods praise him. He is praised even by Brahman. Beware bodily anger, and control thy body. Leave the sins of the body, and with thy body practice virtue. Beware of the anger of the tongue, and control thy tongue. Leave the sins of the tongue, and practice virtue with thy tongue. Beware of the anger of the mind, and control thy mind. Leave the sins of the mind, and practice virtue with thy mind. The wise who control their body, who control their tongue, who control their mind, are indeed well controlled. Chapter 18. Impurity. Thou art now like a sear leaf. The messengers of death, Yama, have come near to thee. Thou standest at the door of thy departure, and thou hast no provision for thy journey. Make thyself an island, work hard, be wise. When thy impurities are blown away, and thou art free from guilt, thou wilt enter into the heavenly world of the elect, Ariya. Thy life has come to an end, thou art near to death. There is no resting place for thee on the road, and thou hast no provision for thy journey. Make thyself an island, work hard, be wise. When thy impurities are blown away, and thou art free from guilt, thou wilt not enter again into birth and decay. Let a wise man blow off the impurities of self, as a smith blows off the impurities of silver one by one, little by little, and from time to time. As the impurity which springs from the iron, when it springs from it, destroys it, thus do a transgressor's own works lead him to the evil path. The taint of prayers is non-repetition. The taint of houses, non-repair. The taint of the body is sloth. The taint of a watchman, thoughtlessness. Bad conduct is the taint of woman. Greediness, the taint of a benefactor. Tainted are all evil ways in this world and in the next. But there is a taint worse than all taints. Ignorance is the greatest taint. O mendicants, throw off that taint and become taintless. Life is easy to live for a man who is without shame, a crow hero, a mischief maker, an insulting, bold, and wretched fellow. But life is hard to live for a modest man, who always looks for what is pure, who is disinterested, quiet, spotless, and intelligent. He who destroys life, who speaks untruth, who in this world takes what is not given him, who goes to another man's wife, and the man who gives himself to drinking intoxicating liquors, he, even in this world, digs up his own root. O man, know this, that the unrestrained are in a bad state. Take care that greediness and vice do not bring thee to grief for a long time. The world gives according to their faith or according to their pleasure. If a man frets about the food and the drink given to others, he will find no rest either by day or by night. He in whom that feeling is destroyed and taken out with the very root finds rest by day and by night. There is no fire like passion. There is no shark like hatred. There is no snare like folly. There is no torrent like greed. The fault of others is easily perceived, but that of oneself is difficult to perceive. A man winnows his neighbour's faults like chaff, but his own fault he hides, as a cheat hides the bad die from the gambler. If a man looks after the faults of others and is always inclined to be offended, his own passions will grow, and he is far from the destruction of passions. There is no path through the air. A man is not a samana by outward acts. The world delights in vanity. The Tathagatas, the Buddhas, are free from vanity. There is no path through the air. A man is not a samana by outward acts. No creatures are eternal, but the awakened Buddha are never shaken. Chapter 19. The Just. A man is not just if he carries a matter by violence. No, he who distinguishes both right and wrong, who is learned and leads others not by violence but by law and equity, and who is guarded by the law and intelligent, he is called just. A man is not learned because he talks much. He who is patient, free from hatred and fear, he is learned. A man is not a supporter of the law because he talks much. Even if a man has learnt little but sees the law bodily, he is a supporter of the law. A man who never neglects the law. A man is not an elder because his head is grey. His age may be ripe, but he is called old in vain. He in whom there is truth, virtue, love, restraint, moderation, he who is free from impurity and is wise, he is called an elder. An envious, greedy, dishonest man does not become respectable by means of much talking only, or by the beauty of his complexion. He in whom all this is destroyed and taken out with the very root, he, when freed from hatred and wise, is called respectable. Not by tonsure does a disciplined man who speaks falsehood become a samana. Can a man be a samana who is still held captive by desire and greediness? He who always quiets the evil, whether small or large, he is called a samana. quiet man, because he has quieted all evil. A man is not a mendicant, bhikshu, simply because he asks others for alms. He who adopts the whole law is a bhikshu, not he who only begs. He who is above good and evil, who is chaste, who with knowledge passes through the world, he indeed is called a bhikshu. A man is not a muni because he observes silence, if he is foolish and ignorant, but the wise who, taking the balance, chooses the good and avoids the evil, he is a muni, and is a muni thereby. He who in this world weighs both sides is called a muni. A man is not an elect, Arya, because he injures living creatures. Because he has pity on all living creatures, thereby is a man called Arya. Not only by discipline and vows, not only by much learning, not by entering into a trance, not by sleeping alone, do I earn the happiness of release which no worldling can know. Bhikshu, be not confident as long as thou hast not attained the extinction of desires. Chapter 20. The Way. The best of ways is the eightfold. The best of truths is the 4 words. The best of virtues, passionlessness. The best of men, he who has eyes to see. This is the way. There is no other that leads to the purifying of intelligence. Go on this way. Everything else is the deceit of Mara, the tempter. If you go on this way, you will make an end of pain. The way was preached by me when I had understood the removal of the thorns in the flesh. You yourself must make an effort. The Tathagatas, Buddhas, are only preachers. The thoughtful who enter the way are freed from the bondage of Mara. All created things perish. He who knows and sees this becomes passive in pain. This is the way to purity. All created things are grief and pain. He who knows and sees this becomes passive in pain. This is the way that leads to purity. All forms are unreal. He who knows and sees this becomes passive in pain. This is the way that leads to purity. He who does not rouse himself when it is time to rise, who, though young and strong, is full of sloth, whose will and thought are weak, that lazy and idle man will never find the way to knowledge. Watching his speech, well restrained in mind, let a man never commit any wrong with his body. Let a man but keep these 3 roads of action clear, and he will achieve the way which is taught by the wise. Through zeal, knowledge is gotten. Through lack of zeal, knowledge is lost. Let a man who knows this double path of gain and loss thus place himself, that knowledge may grow. Cut down the whole forest of lust, not a tree only. Danger comes out of the forest of lust. When you have cut down both the forest and its undergrowth, then, bhikshus, you will be rid of the forest and free. So long as the love of man towards women, even the smallest, is not destroyed, so long is his mind in bondage, as the calf that drinks milk is to its mother. Cut out the love of self like an autumn lotus with thy hand. Cherish the road of peace. Nirvana has been shown by Sugata, Buddha. Here I shall dwell in the rain, here in winter and summer. Thus the fool meditates, and does not think of his death. Death comes and carries off that man, prays for his children and flocks, his mind distracted, as a flood carries off a sleeping village. Sons are no help, nor a father nor relations. There is no help from kinsfolk for one whom death has seized. A wise and good man that knows the meaning of this should quickly clear the way that leads to nirvana. Through zeal, knowledge is gotten. Through lack of zeal, knowledge is lost. Let a man who knows this double path of gain and loss thus place himself, that knowledge may grow. Cut down the whole forest of lust, not only a tree. Danger comes out of the forest of lust. When you have cut down both the forest and its undergrowth, then, bhikshus, you will be rid of the forest and free. So long as the love of man towards women, even the smallest, is not destroyed, so long is his mind in bondage, as the calf that drinks milk is to its mother. Cut out the love of self, like an autumn lotus, with thy hand. Cherish the road of peace. Nirvana has been shown by Sugata, Buddha. Chapter 21. Miscellaneous. If by leaving a small pleasure one sees a great pleasure, let a wise man leave the small pleasure and look to the great. He who, by causing pain to others, wishes to obtain pleasure for himself, he, entangled in the bonds of hatred, will never be free from hatred. What ought to be done is neglected. What ought not to be done is done. The desires of unruly, thoughtless people are always increasing. But they whose whole watchfulness is always directed to their body, who do not follow what ought not to be done, and who steadfastly do what ought to be done, the desires of such watchful and wise people will come to an end. A true Brahmana goes scatheless, though he have killed father and mother and 2 valiant kings, though he has destroyed a kingdom with all its subjects. A true Brahmana goes scatheless, though he have killed father and mother and 2 holy kings and an eminent man besides. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their thoughts day and night are always set on Buddha. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their thoughts day and night are always set on the law. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their thoughts day and night are always set on the church. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their thoughts day and night are always set on their body. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their minds day and night always delights in compassion. The disciples of Gautama are always well awake, and their minds day and night always delights in meditation. It is hard to leave the world.
Hello, beautiful moderators. This is your friend Mojo. I'd like to reserve 60 seconds of your precious clubhouse time to read you a poem.
Hell yeah. So.
So take the deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10 seconds.
Ooh, I love the smell of autumn coming. The beginning of autumn.
The Lord of beauty enters the soul as a man walks into an orchard in spring. Come into me that way again. Light the lamp in the eye of Joseph. Cure Jacob's sadness. Though you never left, come and sit down here and ask, why are you so confused? Like a fresh idea in an artist's mind, you fashion things before they come into being. You sweep the floor like the man who keeps the doorway. When you brush a form clean, it becomes what it truly is. You guard your silence perfectly, like a water bag that doesn't leak. You live where Abby lives, because your heart donkey was strong enough to take you there.
That was precious. What a great poem. Thanks for sharing. There's a half a moon right now. Oh, I love it. It's the chilliness of the winter coming. I miss this feeling. So when the summer ends, it feels like bittersweet, right? Mm-hmm. But I love it at the same time. Winter can be so harsh and it lasts forever. Well, why were you laughing? Because I said the smell of autumn
It was
coming.
just funny because he was like, I'm going to read you a poem. And then it was quiet. And you were like, wow, I love this. Like, just like, and then he just starts going. I was like, oh, wow.
What have you been up to, Mojo Jojo? Is Jojo back on the app or not yet? Still on holiday?
No, he might be gone. I don't know. He deleted his house. I think I'm the new Mojo. I'm what's left.
I remember you wanted to take revenge on him for a long time. But look what happened. God is on your side.
Well, people were very upset because we formed a union. And, somebody asked me, are you the parasite or are you the host? And
was it Jazzy?
No. The point is that, I'm playing a very high level multivariable game, but because I do all these recordings, it really does it makes me like the marketplace for people, because it's like the show Cops. People know they're being recorded by me, so they're all doing a show. They're checking in to see if I'm recording. They pop in, they see, yep, he's live streaming the room, boom, back to the room, and then they keep going. So it's like, am I the host or the parasite, or am I both? So, I'm just saying it's better to be both.
Do you have a job?
Yeah, this
making
is.
a movie here.
I'm a filmmaker.
It's a movie director.
You don't think putting out 40,000 videos is a job? Let me tell you, that's work, sweetheart.
I was like scrolling through my timeline and I see Kitover's room with Pepe in it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh yeah, it's John Kitover.
See, I perpetuate the madness. I keep it going. I'm actually the super secret guy stirring the pot because I have the records. You know, I built the library in the house. You could call me the historian. But technically,
I love how Jazzy thinks you have like a grand scheme plan, evil plan within you.
well, she's right because in a way, I have created my own social network because everybody's tied to me now because they're all in my, you know.
Doesn't everyone do that?
Not to the extent that I've done it because I've infected their mind with a mind virus.
Yeah, we can see by Zach. What is his name again?
Yeah, Zach Ruda.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
See, people want to play games on me though too, which is what I try to avoid because then it becomes a problem for me as opposed to be a problem for the people I'm recording. So I have to.
Wait, is it really true that you were the one that told Roger's name to Pepe, or is that a false witness?
No, somebody may have watched a YouTube recording of mine where I read off a list of all my donors, and that may be where they got it from.
Yeah, but still, how would they know it's him if you've read off the list of your donors?
I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Oh, this is why Jazzy say don't give money to him because you might say his name aloud or something.
Well, Jazzy can talk all she wants. She's free to stir the pot as much as she can. She does a great job. She's very funny. She goes into song and dance, and I find it entertaining. But I'm here studying, listening to the wisdom of the Dhammapada, which are the sayings of the Buddha. Have you ever heard the sayings of the Buddha?
The Tao Te Ching?
No, the sayings of the Buddha. It's called the Dhammapada. No. Well, you would think that, you're only alive for 365 days times 70 years on average. So it's like 25,000 days or something. You'd think that maybe at some point out of those 25,000 days, you might be like, you know what? I should probably spend a lot of time with books and certain books, because Buddha, basically has 800 million followers. So what are all those people interested in? He has a book, and it's called The Sayings of the Buddha, the Dhammapada. It's pretty smart. That's maybe why it's so famous. But you don't know. You've never even thought about it till now.
That's funny.
What's crazy is I can't actually get the number of signatures I need to be on the ballot in March by myself. It's utterly impossible because I can't step away from my office essentially. So
Why not? That's why people usually have canvassers do.
I've recruited 15 people through Craigslist, but the communication with them is horrible, and it's going nowhere. So it's.
Can you please tell us more about that? Can you describe the logistics of your Craigslist canvassers and have you met them?
No. What I'm saying is I can't communicate with them because I think it's a them problem. It's the quality of person responding to the ad. I can tell them what to do, but can they actually do it? That's the thing. Not many people can actually print a piece of paper these days, put it on a clipboard, start walking the hot spots, and say, "Hey, I need you to sign this. Excuse me, sir, I need you to sign this."
Are you paying them?
Yeah, 15 an hour. But I've had out of 15 people, I've had nobody actually successfully print the petition. It's a PDF document. You got to have a printer. It's like if you can't print it, we cannot work together. So that's life.
But so you've never thought about like printing it and meeting up with them to make sure that they're representing your campaign effectively, and that you would
Of
want this
course,
person
that
to
would be great.
representing you?
But I don't live in the district. I'm very far away, so I have to rely on onboarding people digitally. But the fact of the matter is, if I can't even onboard people digitally, like this campaign is going nowhere. Like, because I need to do it at scale. I can't, I have to run this thing like from an HQ, and I'm failing. So, if you want to be my campaign manager, Alpha, and get paid because we've raised $620 through Clubhouse, you could do fundraising rooms for candidate John and pay yourself, like, and do real political online work, because it's all just communication. That's all we're talking about here. All the heavy lifting stuff is annoying. Having to go stand around and have people fill out a piece of paper in the sun, it's annoying. And you can't even do it digitally. You can't even say, "Hey, here's the DocuSign link. Just click here." Hit 2 clicks, and boom, we got your signature on the back. Like,
Yeah, you need. I was a canvasser before, so I know how it is.
yeah, it's ballot access bullshit. It's such a waste of time, money, and effort. It's horrible. It's like hazing. It's such a stupid way to get people involved in politics and borrowing and spending.
Canvassing can be really fun because sometimes like you can meet like cool people, but it's like being a pop-up ad on somebody's laptop. So most of the time, people are kind of rude and they're like, "Out of here."
Yeah, I saw a guy ask if he could sign his petition. He said, "Get the fuck out of here."
Even if they would like agree with whatever they're signing like regularly, like just the fact that you have somebody like, "Hey, can you sign this?" They're like, "No." What do you want? You're gonna put me on some email list? And I'm like, "Bitch, I don't want to fucking email you. I just need your signature."
Yeah. So how many signatures do you still need? And why is it impossible? Why don't you go to the street and expose yourself for being a candidate and do some talks? Well, the weather is not extremely harsh on you.
But you said you're not living in the district that you're running for right now, is what you're saying.
But it's okay. He can go there, and he can.
I can drive up there right now and get signatures, but I don't want to do that right now. I'd rather go for a jog.
Yeah, okay, so it's your laziness.
He's already, to him, he's already been in Congress for like 10 years. He's like, I got people.
Wait, but are you actually serious about it or not?
100%. Why would I waste all this time doing this if I wasn't serious about
I
it?
don't know. You seem like that person that's like willing to try everything. And, well, if you want me to be very honest, it's like the shirt you were wearing to the event that was semi-serious for you too. And I'm like, are you serious or not? Because in a way, maybe you'll get my attention because you're wearing this floral multicolored. And I'm like, what's this? Who is this man? He looks like he's happy. But at the same time, are you gonna make me happy or gonna make me miserable while you're being happy?
No, I mean, see, the thing is, everybody gets the same salary, but all the major Congress people have raised $30 million to $100 million for their campaigns and for their tenure as a congressperson. So nobody obeys term limits, and Bernie Sanders and others, just from Big Pharma alone, they've gotten $30 million. So a piece. So it's the biggest scam going, which is Medicare, Medicaid, $4 trillion a year. And it's all about the skim or the VIG, so
we have a huge mortgage problem in America, and I'm running to stop Darren LaHood from kicking the can any further. See, I'm gonna be on TV this Friday. To me, just raising 600
Let's
bucks,
go.
yeah, because I raised 600 bucks here, and I'm gonna spend that money on Friday, in Bloomington Normal where I'm shooting the TV segment. So to me, that's the big success. Even if I don't get on the ballot, just the media alone is a big success for me. So I'm actually more concerned about the media and the communication aspect than even winning, let alone getting the signatures. Because
So what are you gonna wear?
you think I should wear a suit?
I don't know, kids.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, I mean, if you're really serious, like, there's just a certain look that people expect from politicians, whether that's right or wrong. That is just what it is.
Well,
So
what if I
you
just
gotta play it.
what if yeah? Well, I'll probably wear jeans, a shirt, and a tie, and a jacket. I mean, but I'm still gonna wear. Maybe I'll wear khakis. That's probably what.
In a way, I feel like you should be you. But I don't know. I don't know how serious you guys are in that.
Well, see, I'm gonna bring a change of clothing, so because I gotta drive there, so I'm gonna wear comfortable clothing in the car. But when I get there, I'll have enough
It
clothes.
completely depends on the district he's running for, Abby. So, like, for example, there's some people who run for some districts, they show up more casually, and that's because the district that they're electing to represent, like, that might speak more to them as, like, one of them. But if you're running for, like, a very wealthy, well-to-do district, then they're going to expect that their district elective is dressing a certain way, which is going to be very sharp. So it's completely dependent on the district. There's no, like, hard and fast rules about how you need to present yourself. Like, when you're on the media running for, a seat, they're not going to be like, okay, well, anytime you appear on TV or, like, some kind of ad or whatever, you need to be wearing this and this. It's just going to be, it's totally tailor-made to whatever you need to do to win. So,
It could be a good thing and a bad thing. People are gonna be like, "This is change. Yes, we need change."
it depends on the district. Like,
Yeah.
some might not respond to that very well.
And sometimes, like, when you dress like a bit weird, people will talk about you, will put you on the internet, and so you have more exposure. Whether it's negative type of negative attention farming or positive, this is also a way you can get attention.
Yeah, that's true. If you're just looking for the attention, yeah. Like, if you're just trying to get the message out there, then taking
I
a
mean,
more...
attention will give them exposure.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, but it might be, like, something that goes... Like, a lot of people see it online, but then they can't, like, vote for him. They don't live in that district.
So you also have to realize that because of all my YouTube work, I have over 25,000 videos up now that if I could get national publicity, I talked to this guy at this event the other day, and he was telling me about all of his press throughout his campaign, and he's got like 100,000 followers on X. But if I can get on Fox or Newsmax or other major, platforms, and I can boost my YouTube numbers, well, then I could actually turn Clown House into a live stream business or a content generation business. So being able to create high value content or interesting content, and you could say that Clubhouse is actually very interesting because it's real humans speaking and it's not just AI stuff. So I can have a business. I think I could have a business here based on how I have it all organized at this point, because it's basically all in my name. Everything is candidate Congressman John Kitover. So my shtick is Congressman John. If I were to do like a stand-up show, and I would go in a suit and I would be known as Congressman John. Like, that would be my fucking shtick.
So is the end game here you being able to facilitate having your own live streaming business with one of the main subject matters being Clubhouse?
No, because there's other platforms that I can live stream, like X, which have better conversations, bigger conversations. Clubhouse is like a very niche thing because I am personally involved in a lot of these conversations and pot stirring events. So it's kind of like having your own little kingdom in a way, that costs you nothing.
But the end goal is having like a live streaming content generator that can turn into like a business of sorts.
Yeah, especially because they did an Anon, And technically, if whoever records the room, technically that's the copyright owner for that video, unless proven otherwise. So
you're running for this seat so that you can make that dream a reality.
well, see, this is my big intelligence capability that other candidates will not have or do for their constituents, is that I can film my experience in Congress in a way that no other congressperson ever has. So I can expose the trickery, the miscommunication, the disinformation that they do internally to their own members. So we need investigative journalists.
I love that.
Yeah. We need people like me.
Really
Yeah.
good.
You know how every police has a chest body cam? We need individuals who are going to wear a chest body cam in Congress and say, you can't violate my freedom of speech to record this. Because there's a lot of things that the press won't even publish because A, they can't see it, or B, they won't publish it. So we need a fucking investigative journalist congressperson to go on the inside in the same way that Thomas Massey has. Because Thomas Massey did an interview with Theo Von where he describes the whole process of Congress and what it's like, from every technical detail. And so that's an eye-opening revelation into the control, because Speaker Mike Johnson, the speaker is the most powerful position. So everything is mandated. Like, there's no editing by Congress people. Here's the bill, sign it, So it's just, how does that happen? It's like there's no input. Nobody gets to read anything. And they just keep passing bill, HR Act after HR Act. So we just need real radical transparency to essentially shame. We have to bring shame to the people who are doing the skim and the scam.
So because there are a lot of pigs in a barrel type deals that get made, but some of these things are not necessarily open to the public and could be illegal if you stream and
it's not it's
your
press. It's the Constitution, Alpha. That's the whole point. Is I'm a constitutional maximalist. So where the real secrecy is at the Federal Reserve, because the IRS should be abolished, but the IRS is technically the repository of annual confessions. So this is the craziest thing, is a lot of people like to think they know economics, but we don't really know economics because we don't do a cross comparison between the IRS and the Federal Reserve. And I'm talking about transparency into people, not just corporations, but individuals. Like, there's no real transparency of wealth. And in America, we should technically have real transparency of wealth, especially with regards to who generates the most wealth from the Federal Reserve and their monetary policies. We know who they are, but what I'm saying is that adjusted gross income confession that the IRS takes in every year, all that accounting work to generate that one number individually, what, economists don't have access to that type of data? Like, that's the real economy. So I'm just saying, all these economic sciences, it's a fucking joke, because the data is right there, but it's private data. So don't call it economics.
I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that because a lot of things might come to fruition or people come to agreements, not in the Senate floor, which does have strict recording policies, and you're not really allowed to just openly film congressional and Senate legislative sessions.
Put it out.
Spit it out. But also, you're not allowed to record in Senate restaurants and cafeterias and things like that, which is probably where you're going to hear the crazy stuff that you want to expose, because there is some the proceedings of the legislative session may come, but it's usually filmed and controlled by the government. So there's no they won't show you reactions from the other legislators if one goes up and says their piece on something.
No, listen, all I'm saying is, a candidate, I'm going to push it to the limit. And so when that means if I get elected and I'm walking down the hallways of Congress, I'm going to open up my phone and do shorts and live stream me doing Q&As with other people in Congress. A lot of Congress people aren't being real journalists, and they're not really giving communication to their constituents. They're just creating publicity pieces every post. So, I can go on television and talk this way, but they're not going to ask me questions like this. They're going to ask, I could show you what my other podcast was with this guy called Mike Deinhardt on the Prairie Report, and I think those topics are what will come up again. So that's a 45-minute Q&A, and if you listen to that, you know, I think that's like, I'm gonna have to re-listen to it because it was so good. But anyways, I'm just smelling, you know, the leaves. Somebody's burning leaves, drinking hot cocoa, getting ready for Christmas. Daddy's home.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
They were? Okay.
Ooh, that's the
Sorry,
Gypsy
I'm ordering
Kings.
something.
So where do you live, Alpha?
What
Yeah, this guy that
So
I
you
met.
cannot vote for him, right?
No,
She can
I don't live
donate.
in that district.
You could do
I can donate. Yeah.
you could do fundraising here on Clubhouse on X Spaces and do political communication.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we will dedicate.
We'll let everybody know the news.
So I'm trying to get Augustus to organize a fundraiser, and so he just had this big X space about COVID-19 and how Trump said that the government should investigate Operation Warp Speed because he doesn't think Pfizer's data is accurate or transparent. So I'm up on the stage, I say my piece, and then eventually I get kicked off by this cunt named Hayes Maple, whatever the fuck her name is. Maze Hayes, bitch. Goldman Sachs retired.
I hate her.
So she kicked me, and because I have called her out many times for being an anti-Semite, a racist Jew hater. So, but you know, Augustus gives me a few seconds, but then I'm just like, dude, why does Augustus do this to me? Like, you know, I helped fucking build the room with momentum and, you know, a speech, and then like, why does he hit her? You know, maybe it's because big creators like want to give other big creators, you know, to grow it, I suppose, you know, because everybody's technically self-interested, like their own self-promotion. They're like, oh, this is good for me because it grows my account, etc. So, but I find that annoying that it's hard to find somebody who will actually go with you all the way and back you. And mostly it's just insane, crazy, toxic people. Like Adam's crashed out on here. This is the thing about my YouTube is like, I have documented people's like runs and then their implosions and their account terminations, you know, so I have like full, you know, the crazy, my recordings are like a map of the human mind and just how neurotic it is and how uncontrollable it is. I mean, that's why I go back to books and listening to audiobooks, because to listen to Clubhouse, like if you create reality with words, you know, and you're sitting here listening to all this insane toxic stuff, it's like, okay, well then that's just what my life is. It's like what I'm listening to, you know? So that's why I choose books and audiobooks. But there still is a great value in recording all of these dramas and gossips and pot stirs, like, but essentially what's great for me is because eventually it all implodes and comes to an end and everybody gets clipped, I can go back to my favorite topic, which is philosophy.
To become a friar, it is hard to enjoy the world. Hard is the monastery. Painful are the houses. Painful it is to dwell with equals, to share everything in common, and the itinerant mendicant is beset with pain. Therefore, let's
I
no
don't
man
want to
be
do
an
that right
itinerant
now.
mendicant,
I'll just
he will
ask.
not be
I'll
beset
ask
with pain.
Scott. I'm listening to the
To the
Donald
place
Pod. Do
the
you want to hear
faithful,
the wisdom
virtuous,
of the Buddha or
celebrated,
no?
and wealthy man chooses, there he is respected. Good people shine from afar, like the snowy mountains. Bad people are not seen, like arrows shot at night. He alone who, without ceasing, practices the duty of sitting alone and sleeping alone, he, subduing himself, will rejoice in the destruction of all desires alone, as if living in a forest. Chapter 22. The Downward Course. He who says what is not goes to hell. He also who, having done a thing, says, I have not done it, after death both are equal. They are men with evil deeds in the next world. Many men whose shoulders are covered with the yellow gown are ill-conditioned and unrestrained. Such evildoers, by their evil deeds, go to hell. Better it would be to swallow a heated iron bowl, like flaring fire, than that a bad, unrestrained fellow should live on the charity of the land. 4 things does a reckless man gain who covets his neighbour's wife: a bad reputation, an uncomfortable bed, thirdly punishment, and lastly hell. There is the bad reputation and the evil way to hell. There is the short pleasure of the frightened in the arms of the frightened, and the king imposes heavy punishment. Therefore let no man think of his neighbour's wife. As a grass blade, if badly grasped, cuts the arm, badly practised asceticism leads to hell. An act carelessly performed, a broken vow, and hesitating obedience to discipline, all this brings no great reward. If anything is to be done, let a man do it. Let him attack it vigorously. A careless pilgrim only scatters the dust of his passions more widely. An evil deed is better left undone, for a man repents of it afterwards. A good deed is better done, for having done it, one does not repent. Like a well-guarded frontier fort, with defences within and without, so let a man guard himself. Not a moment should escape, for they who allow the right moment to pass suffer pain when they are in hell. They who are ashamed of what they ought not to be ashamed of, and are not ashamed of what they ought to be ashamed of, such men, embracing false doctrines, enter the evil path. They who fear when they ought not to fear, and fear not when they ought to fear, such men, embracing false doctrines, enter the evil path. They who forbid when there is nothing to be forbidden, and forbid not when there is something to be forbidden, such men, embracing false doctrines, enter the evil path. They who know what is forbidden as forbidden, and what is not forbidden as not forbidden, such men, embracing the true doctrine, enter the good path. Chapter 23. The Elephant. Silently shall I endure abuse, as the elephant in battle endures the arrows sent from the bow, for this world is ill-natured. They lead a tamed elephant to battle. The king mounts a tamed elephant. The tamed is the best among men, he who silently endures abuse. Mules are good if tamed, and noble Sindhu horses, and elephants with large tusks, but he who tames himself is better still. For with these animals does no man reach the untrodden country, nirvana, where a tamed man goes on a tamed animal, vis-a-vis on his own well-tamed self. The elephant called Dhanapalaka, his temples running with sap and difficult to hold, does not eat a morsel when bound. The elephant longs for the elephant grove. If a man becomes fat and a great eater, if he is sleepy and rolls himself about, that fool, like a hog fed on wash, is born again and again. This mind of mine went formerly wandering about as it liked, as it listed, as it pleased, but I shall now hold it in thoroughly, as the rider who holds the hook holds in the furious elephant. Be not thoughtless, watch your thoughts, draw yourself out of the evil way, like an elephant sunk in mud. If a man find a prudent companion who walks with him is wise and lives soberly, let him walk with him, overcoming all dangers, happy but considerate. If a man find no prudent companion who walks with him is wise and lives soberly, let him walk alone, like a king who has left his conquered country behind, like an elephant in the forest. It is better to live alone. There is no companionship with the fool. Let a man walk alone, let him commit no sin, with few wishes, like an elephant in the forest. If an occasion arises, friends are pleasant. Enjoyment is pleasant, whatever be the cause. A good work is pleasant in the hour of death. The giving up of all grief is pleasant. Pleasant in the world is the state of a mother, pleasant the state of a father, pleasant the state of a samana, pleasant the state of a brahmana. Pleasant is virtue lasting to old age. Pleasant is a faith firmly rooted. Pleasant is attainment of intelligence. Pleasant is avoiding of sins. Chapter 24. Thirst. The thirst of a thoughtless man grows like a creeper. He runs from life to life, like a monkey seeking fruit in the forest. Whomsoever this fierce thirst overcomes, full of poison, in this world his sufferings will increase like the abounding banana grass. He who overcomes this fierce thirst, difficult to be conquered in this world, sufferings fall off from him, like water drops from a lotus leaf. This salutary word I tell you, do ye, as many as are here assembled, dig up the root of thirst, as he who wants the sweet-scented Usira root must dig up the banana grass, that Mara the tempter may not crush you again and again, as the stream crushes the reeds. As a tree, even though it has been cut down, is firm so long as its root is safe, and grows again. Thus, unless the feeders of thirst are destroyed, the pain of life will return again and again. He whose thirst, running towards pleasure, is exceeding strong in the 36 channels, the waves will carry away that misguided man, vis-a-vis his desires which are set on passion. The channels run everywhere. The creeper of passion stands sprouting. If you see the creeper springing up, cut its roots by means of knowledge. A creature's pleasures are extravagant and luxurious. Sunk in lust and looking for pleasure, men undergo, again and again, birth and decay. Men, driven on by thirst, run about like a snared hare. Held in fetters and bonds, they undergo pain for a long time, again and again. Men driven on by thirst run about like a snared hare. Let, therefore, the mendicant drive out thirst, by striving after passionlessness for himself. He who, having got rid of the forest of lust after having reached nirvana, gives himself over to the forest life and lust, and who, when removed from the forest, runs to the forest, look at that man. Though free, he runs into bondage. Wise people do not call that a strong fetter which is made of iron, wood, or hemp. Far stronger is the care for precious stones and rings, for sons and a wife.
But basically, Trump calls for the investigation of change from the duopoly.
Gonna happen.
He's not one of these military industrial complex
Ways people can detox their bodies, but it may be different depending on who you're talking. Organization decided to cook up.
This wasn't great. And if he just would say
Shit up, right?
One of his proudest
similar, it cost.
December, and we got 1,000 members.
I mean, the other stuff
They have we're headed on the right path.
in this particular.
almost everything
To them about all the negative. We've got Dr. Lori with her hand mouthpieces and
My opinion.
mouthpieces, and that they're you are your up down. He's gonna try to come back up, guys, and we'll get his take in a minute. Let's go to Dr. Lori and welcome John Kitover to the stage. John Kitover is running for Congress in Illinois. I'm helping him with his campaign. Good guy. I consider him a friend. Thanks for being here, John. He's also very passionate about this topic.
Am I
Yep.
back?
Hello?
Sorry, that was my fault. I got interrupted. It wasn't the CIA or anybody like that. What I was saying is that, to be simple, I think Trump's post was a rock in the pond, and the ripples are going out, and all the parties that are concerned, which is everybody, and especially people who are going to be prosecuted for their crimes, they recognize that the rock has been thrown in the pond. Now, without believing in anything, I could have this opinion that Trump wasn't for mandatory injections. Trump stated when the Operation Warp Speed was announced that we would have a safe and effective vaccine, and he got Fauci to stand up there and agree that that was the plan, and then that didn't happen. The injections didn't happen until after Trump was not in office. So we can't say that Trump was directly the one who mandatorily injected people with the mRNA. But the mRNA has been injected. There's no way to hide the evidence. And so it's possible that Operation Warp Speed was a sting. But if it was a sting, we'll have the evidence within this month, because it's either going to turn in the direction of exposing and having legitimate judicial or military type of response, or it won't. And I don't think people are going to let it go without following up on it. I followed up on it today, and I got a need to prove your account is human. I posted a lot about it, and I go right to safety because I know that I have not threatened people or lied about things, so they have no legitimacy to censor my account. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak, and I look forward to Trump getting information from people who've done the forensic research, like so many on this platform, Lindsay, Nick, so many people. All the data is available, so if they continue to pretend it's not, then we know that they're truly on the wrong side.
Thanks for sharing, Google Foo. Dr. Lori, let's let John Kitover go because he hasn't gotten a chance to go yet.
this is big news, and Kennedy, is really, I think, changing the entire neural network of Americans. I mean, just getting here right now, Augustus and his beautiful Mrs. Palante helped spread, the message of Kennedy, which is that 35 injections, today for an infant versus 4 back in 86. I mean, we are basically, through Big Pharma, poisoning ourselves in the name of making profit, creating debt, and taxing ourselves through Medicare, Medicaid. So the government is broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in funded debt. We're $100 trillion plus in unfunded debt. So if we don't start making serious, pragmatic decisions on priorities of spending and borrowing, we are digging a hole of such epic proportions that, hundreds of years of American history are going to just, it's all going to implode because we are borrowing and spending ourselves into a deep grave. But the good news is that Kennedy and Trump are pushing back against Big Pharma, that they're not just mouthpieces, and that they're calling for transparency and for publishing the real numbers. And, I would say as an independent filmmaker myself, and an artist and a creative, that just interviewing individuals that have had adverse reaction and posting that to YouTube, because you can and cannot say things still with regards to medical misinformation. If you say that I got put into a wheelchair because I got a COVID-19 vaccine, that's medical misinformation, even if it's true. So censorship is a huge issue in the medical industrial complex on these big tech platforms. And as Americans, we have to enforce our constitutional rights to freedom of speech and the press. That you, as an independent creator, are an agent of the press. You are your own news agency. So take action now. Augustus is helping me trying to defeat a vaccinologist, rhinologist, and super debt creator known as Darren LaHood in the 16th district, who has been in Congress for 10 years. And if we create $2 trillion every year in debt, he has presided over creating $20 trillion in debt for you, we the people. We have to kick these credit card mortgage debt junkies out of government. They're destroying your future now, and they're destroying your children and your grandchildren's opportunities in the future. So I thank you all for being here. I think today should be a day of resistance against vaccines, lockdowns, and baby diaper masks, all because Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and the World Health Organization decided to cook up a biological weapon in Wuhan and deploy it against the world so Big Pharma could rake in trillions upon trillions of taxpayer dollars. So God bless you all. I hope you're a patriot, and today is a day of liberation for you. God bless everybody. All communication is hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis. With that being said, this is preservation of the human race. Oh, you have a
So a way to having legit account and continue to.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is big news, and Kennedy, is really, I think, changing the entire neural network of Americans. I mean, just getting here right now, Augustus and his beautiful Mrs. Palante helped spread, the message of Kennedy, which is that 35 injections, today for an infant versus 4 back in 86. I mean, we are basically, through Big Pharma, poisoning ourselves in the name of making profit, creating debt, and taxing ourselves through Medicare, Medicaid. So the government is broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in funded debt, or $100 trillion plus in unfunded debt. So if we don't start making serious, pragmatic decisions on priorities, Augusta,
The wrong side.
and
Trying to Google foo. Dr. Lori, let's let John Kitover go because he hasn't gotten a chance to go yet. this is big. Thanks for sharing, Google Foo. Yo, Dr. Lori, let's let John Kitover go because he hasn't gotten a chance to go yet. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is big news, and Kennedy, is really, I think, changing the entire neural network of Americans. I mean, just getting here right now, Augustus and his beautiful Mrs. Palante helped spread, the message of Kennedy, which is that 35 injections, today for an infant versus 4 back in 86. I mean, we are basically, through Big Pharma, poisoning ourselves in the name of making profit, creating debt, and taxing ourselves through Medicare, Medicaid. So the government is broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in funded debt, or $100 trillion plus in unfunded debt. So if we don't start making serious, pragmatic decisions on priorities of spending and borrowing, we are digging a hole of such epic proportions that, hundreds of years of American history are going to just, it's all going to implode because we are borrowing and spending ourselves into a deep grave. But the good news is that Kennedy and Trump are pushing back against Big Pharma, that they're not just mouthpieces, and that they're calling for transparency and for publishing the real numbers. And, I would say, as an independent filmmaker myself, and an artist and a creative, that just interviewing individuals that have had adverse reaction and posting that to YouTube, because you can and cannot say things still with regards to medical misinformation. If you say that I got put into a wheelchair because I got a COVID-19 vaccine, that's medical misinformation, even if it's true. So censorship is a huge issue in the medical industrial complex on these big tech platforms. And as Americans, we have to enforce our constitutional rights to freedom of speech and the press. That you, as an independent creator, are an agent of the press. You are your own news agency. So take action now. Augustus is helping me trying to defeat a vaccinologist, rhinologist, and super debt creator known as Darren LaHood in the 16th district, who has been in Congress for 10 years. And if we create $2 trillion every year in debt, he has presided over creating $20 trillion in debt for you, we the people. We have to kick these credit card mortgage debt junkies out of government. They're destroying your future now, and they're destroying your children and your grandchildren's opportunities in the future. So I thank you all for being here. I think today should be a day of resistance against vaccines, lockdowns, and baby diaper masks, all because Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and the World Health Organization decided to cook up a biological weapon in Wuhan and deploy it against the world so Big Pharma could rake in trillions upon trillions of taxpayer dollars. So God bless you all. I hope you're a patriot, and today is the day of liberation for you. God bless everybody. All communication is hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis. With that being said, this is preservation of the human race. Today we're discussing the investigation of Operation Warp Speed led by the Trump administration, breaking news, and we've got the day of and I got artists that I got so many people. All the data is available, so if they continue to pretend it's not, then we know that they're truly on the wrong side. Thanks for sharing, Google Foo. Yo, Dr. Lori, let's let John Kitover go because he hasn't gotten a chance to go yet. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is big news, and Kennedy, is really, I think, changing the entire neural network of Americans. I mean, just getting here right now, Augustus and his beautiful Mrs. Palante helped spread, the message of Kennedy, which is that 35 injections, today for an infant
versus 4 back in 86. I mean, we are basically, through Big Pharma, poisoning ourselves in the name of making profit, creating debt, and taxing ourselves through Medicare, Medicaid. So the government is broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in funded debt, or $100 trillion plus in unfunded debt. So if we don't start making serious, pragmatic decisions on priorities of spending and borrowing, we are digging a hole of such epic proportions that, hundreds of years of American history are going to just, it's all going to implode, because we are borrowing and spending ourselves into a deep grave. But the good news is that Kennedy and Trump are pushing back against Big Pharma, that they're not just mouthpieces, and that they're calling for transparency and for publishing the real numbers. And, I would say, as an independent filmmaker myself, and an artist and a creative, that just interviewing individuals that have had adverse reaction and posting that to YouTube, because you can and cannot say things still with regards to medical misinformation. If you say that I got put into a wheelchair because I got a COVID-19 vaccine, that's medical misinformation, even if it's true. So censorship is a huge issue in the medical industrial complex on these big tech platforms. And as Americans, we have to enforce our constitutional rights to freedom of speech and the press. That you, as an independent creator, are an agent of the press. You are your own news agency. So take action now. Augustus is helping me trying to defeat a vaccinologist, rhinologist, and super debt creator known as Darren LaHood in the 16th district, who has been in Congress for 10 years. And if we create $2 trillion every year in debt, he has presided over creating $20 trillion in debt for you, we the people. We have to kick these credit card mortgage debt junkies out of government. They're destroying your future now, and they're destroying your children and your grandchildren's opportunities in the future. So I thank you all for being here. I think today should be a day of resistance against vaccines, lockdowns, and baby diaper masks, all because Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and the World Health Organization decided to cook up a biological weapon in Wuhan and deploy it against the world so Big Pharma could rake in trillions upon trillions of taxpayer dollars. So God bless you all. I hope you're a patriot, and today is a day of liberation for you. God bless everybody.
All communication is hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis.
Trillions of these district, you huge can into a deep, weird, and pharma poison helps is.
Let's let John Kitover go, because he hasn't gotten a chance to go yet.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is big news, and Kennedy, is really, I think, changing the entire neural network of Americans. I mean, just getting here right now, Augustus and his beautiful Mrs. Palante helped spread, the message of Kennedy, which is that 35 injections, today for an infant versus 4 back in 86. I mean, we are basically, through Big Pharma, poisoning ourselves in the name of making profit, creating debt, and taxing ourselves through Medicare, Medicaid. So the government is broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in funded debt, or $100 trillion plus in unfunded debt. So if we don't start making serious, pragmatic decisions on priorities of spending and borrowing, we are digging a hole of such epic proportions that, hundreds of years of American history are going to just, it's all going to implode, because we are borrowing and spending ourselves into a deep grave. But the good news is that Kennedy and Trump are pushing back against Big Pharma, that they're not just mouthpieces, and that they're calling for transparency and for publishing the real numbers. And, I would say, as an independent filmmaker myself, and an artist and a creative, that just interviewing individuals that have had adverse reaction and posting that to YouTube, because you can and cannot say things still with regards to medical misinformation. If you say that I got put into a wheelchair because I got a COVID-19 vaccine, that's medical misinformation, even if it's true. So censorship is a huge issue in the medical industrial complex on these big tech platforms. And as Americans, we have to enforce our constitutional rights to freedom of speech and the press. That you, as an independent creator, are an agent of the press. You are your own news agency. So take action now. Augustus is helping me trying to defeat a vaccinologist, rhinologist, and super debt creator known as Darren LaHood in the 16th district, who has been in Congress for 10 years. And if we create $2 trillion every year in debt, he has presided over creating $20 trillion in debt for you, we the people. We have to kick these credit card mortgage debt junkies out of government. They're destroying your future now, and they're destroying your children and your grandchildren's opportunities in the future. So I thank you all for being here. I think today should be a day of resistance against vaccines, lockdowns, and baby diaper masks, all because Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and the World Health Organization decided to cook up a biological weapon in Wuhan and employ it against the world so Big Pharma could rake in trillions upon trillions of taxpayer dollars. So God bless you all. I hope you're a patriot, and today is a day of liberation for you. God bless everybody.
All communication is hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis. With that being said, this is preservation of the human race. Today we're discussing the investigation of Operation Warp Speed led by the Trump administration, breaking news, and we've got Destiny and Jay Scott as co-hosts. What a team. We've got Dr. Lori with her hand raised. What an amazing doctor. Let's hear from Dr. Lori.
Hey, thank you, Augustus. You know, the more I'm thinking about this and kind of just taking everything into consideration, I think I just changed my opinion in the last couple of minutes, but I was hopeful for like a minute, but then I remembered this whole thing was a DOD operation. Like, nobody's going to be allowed to actually get to the truth, is what I'm thinking now. Again, considering especially because it was a DOD operation. And you know how it is, especially within the government. It's, you show us the results you want, and we'll get you the data. There's so many studies out there, and a lot of them, they're not going to look at the right ones. Like, for example, when I think it was Destiny talking before. No, I'm sorry, it was Jay, who was talking about, there's some recent studies showing that women that were vaccinated had like 30% less pregnancy. I think that's what he said. I'm sorry if I'm misstating that. But, Dr. Thorpe did a lot of research, and he's actually, compiled it into reports. And nobody's going to look at that, but he has some amazing data. So, I don't know. I just kind of lost hope. But I don't want to bring anybody down, but that's where I'm at right now.
Well, honestly, I'm going to give you my opinion, right? Honestly, I think behind the scenes what's going on is that RFK Jr. is like, listen, President Trump, the CDC has been actively covering up the true numbers on what's going on with this vaccine. And there's a lot of deaths and reverse side effects and injuries that have come from it. I want to pull them off the market. And President Trump's like, well, the numbers that I'm seeing coming from Pfizer show that everything's good as gold. And he's like, yo, you're being lied to. So they're going to say, okay, well, you want to pull them off the market, let's just go through the appropriate steps to do it. Let's launch an investigation. Midway through the investigation, we're going to take them off the market. How's that sound? And he says, okay, that sounds good. And within the next few months, you'll see them pulled from the marketplace. That's my opinion. That's my take. As far as the DOD involvement, as far as the DOD's involvement into this investigation, I think that you're right. You know, we might not ever get what we're looking for when it comes to this investigation, but I think that the investigation, a side effect of it will be, let's pull these things off of the market. And that's the ultimate goal, right? So getting...
Yeah, I hope you're right. That's all we really need. I mean, at the end of the day, those of us that know what's up, we already know what we need to know. We just need to get them off the market.
I would just add to that.
Go ahead.
I would say we want to start an overall conversation about mRNA technology. Oh, excuse me, I'm a little tired because I'm finishing up a workout, but we got to talk about mRNA technology as well as privacy concerns around data. So, but sorry, I'll let the next man speak. I know we got Godfrey up on stage with other speakers. Welcome, everybody. I'll be back in a second.
Hey guys, I don't know who's next, but we do have some new people on stage. Welcome Frank, welcome Joe, NH Conservative, and Godfrey. I'm not sure which one of you guys are next, but let's just go to NH and then Joe and then Godfrey.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I've been thinking for a long, long time because I've always thought the shots were pretty bad, although I did get the first 2 plus a booster, and I had a lot of trouble with the booster, but fortunately, at least we got Moderna, not Pfizer. I'm 78 years old, so I was in that group that, back then we were encouraged to get it, and, it was done by the National Guard here. We're actually giving the shots out in New Hampshire. And then the more I found out about everything, I want to keep this short, but I found out that, ivermectin was the really way to go with all the other stuff, the FLCCC and et cetera. So, and probably everybody that's on here thinks more or less the same thing, I would think. Anyway, so here's my thought about what happens if they get pulled off the market. I've talked to a lot of people that, think that they're an absolute miracle. And, you try to talk to them about all the negative effects and everything, they tell you that's all nonsense, it's not true, people really weren't hurt, blah, 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 blah. So what are those people going to think? When it gets pulled off the market, people are going to say, why? We want to know why. And if part of that answer is they're dangerous, they should have never been given to babies. If you've had a whole bunch of those shots, your body is just constant.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that clip.